All right, Jeff Glover, welcome to the Impact Agent Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
How's the weather up there in Michigan?
It's not too bad. We got a little bit of snow on the ground, but it's not a blizzard today, and we're not in some polar vortex. So I guess it's almost spring. I guess that's what that means.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I really appreciate you coming on today, and obviously we are super excited to have you on the Impact Agent Conference stage in April in New Orleans.
I'm thrilled to be there.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so
Appreciate
I,
it.
I was actually a KW agent back in the day, and got to hear you speak at Mega Camp and Family Reunion, and I
Yeah.
just remember, I can't remember what the date was, but it was 2008 through 2010, and the Detroit market was really depressed.
Some tough years. Yep.
A lot
Yep.
of blight, and I don't know, there was just this, we saw it all. I mean, everybody in the country saw just these images of abandoned homes and all these things. But what
Yeah.
really resonated with me was that just how focused you were. I mean, you were still crushing it back then. And you just had this mindset of you were going to help people no matter what. And there were people out
Yeah.
there that needed help with short sales and all that kind of thing.
Yep.
Describe that market for us a little bit.
Well, it's interesting because, that was probably 2009 because that's when I joined KW. 2008 was the first year that I sold over 100 homes. I sold 102 homes that year. And quite frankly, haven't dropped below that number since then, actually. But the reason why I had to do it, quite frankly, I was forced to because our average sales price, I mean, people make fun of me now for my average sales price at 200,000, 220,000. Back then, it was like 135,000. So, I had to sell a lot of homes to make a living in Detroit those years. But no, it was tough. A lot of depressed situations, a lot of agents getting out of the business. I mean, it was a real tough time to be there. But the reality is I felt like the consumers needed somebody who was willing to work their butt off for them and really make a difference in their life so they can accomplish what they wanted. And there wasn't a lot of that because, as you probably know, a lot of the agents in the business are fly-by-nights or wannabes or part-timers. And I felt like it was my personal mission. I had to stand up and be the hardest working agent in town. And in order to do that, it took a lot of skills training. It took a lot of putting systems and processes in place because obviously to do 100 plus units, you need to start having systems and things in place. And that's essentially where it started. My first year selling 100 homes was in 2008 at the bottom of the market. So that's where it got started.
That's awesome. And I feel like a lot of people, a lot of agents right now these days have this kind of adversarial either mindset or relationship with these leads, these consumers that they don't know. And that was one of the things that really struck a chord with me is that, your mindset before you got on these calls was, I'm here to help. And I just think, although the economy is doing much better, and you're probably finding it easier to find buyers and sellers, it's still that mindset is very, very healthy.
Yeah. So part of what that was, Jason, was I needed to provide hope, right? That was my number one focus on every single call in those years. And that probably transcended through now to 2019. I needed to give them hope, especially with expired listings, right? No matter what the market's doing, they're hopeless in a lot of cases. And so my whole belief was if I gave them hope that they could still accomplish what it is they wanted to accomplish, then I had a good chance of obtaining their business. I'm not talking to buyers and sellers about, hey, let's get your home on the market. Hey, let's get you out looking at homes. I'm talking to them about why they're moving, where they're going, when they want to be there, how they arrived at that date. I'm not even mentioning those years, and now I'm not even mentioning the thought of getting your home back on the market. Let's get your home sold. They don't want to hear that. That's not why they're moving. They're moving because they have a reason. And so getting to that reason is extremely important and has been throughout the years.
Do you think much of your early success, I mean, how much of it would you attribute it to the language of sales? I mean, you are really a script and dialogue master. I mean, you have like a PhD in that.
Yeah, I was very lucky early on. My first 18 months in the business, I met both Floyd Wickman and Mike Ferry, who were the script masters of the industry. So I was very lucky early on I was 18 years old when I started. Actually, here's how it started, Jason.
Wow.
I was 18 years old, and they said to me, if you're going to succeed in this business at 18 years old, you better be the best scripted salesperson when you go on those appointments, because otherwise, kid, this is the advice I got. Otherwise, kid, they're going to question how old you are, how long you've been in the business, and whether you even own a home, which I didn't. I was renting an apartment at 18 years old. So I figured out from that point, given the advice of some of my mentors, all right, if I'm going on these appointments and I'm competing with, and when you're 18, you think 30-year-olds are old, right? I'm competing with 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds, then I need to be the best salesperson for the job. And so I just took the mindset of they're hiring me to sell their greatest asset. Well, how do I sell their greatest asset? By being a great presenter of product. Their home is the product. And by showing them that I can be a good salesperson where I can follow up with leads proactively and I can convert leads. And by displaying that to them and having that discussion at their kitchen table that I'm very good at presenting, I'm more likely to get the business and less likely that they're going to question how old I am and how long I've been doing it and so forth. And so that was just my early on approach, and it just stuck with me all the way through.
How old were you in 2008 when you sold the 100 homes?
So let's think about this for a second. In 2008, I was 24. Yeah, 24.
And had an assistant, or no, was it just you?
So it was me and they didn't even have the term ISA back then. It was me and a telemarketer. It was me and a gentleman by the name of Ryan. And basically we said, come hell or high water, we're going to sell 100 homes this year. In fact, he pulled a goofy trick on me. I see your license plate in the background there. I was never like a vanity plate guy, and I'm still not. I mean, whatever that means. But I come out to the parking lot one day, and he had my license plate changed. Talk about accountability.
Wow.
He had my license plate changed because, I left my driver's license out, and, you could do things online back then. He had my license plate changed to 100 in '08.
Wow.
100 in '08. And so that was my built-in accountability. Every single agent, I was embarrassed because every single agent in the office knew what that meant. And that meant I had to hit 100 deals. So it was me and Ryan, and of course we added an assistant, after that point. But it was essentially the two of us doing 100 deals, 102 deals that year we did.
Oh, I love that.
And I was responsible for 70 of those personally. I did, what I mean by that is I prospected 70 of those deals. He was the prospector for 32 of them. And it became a total of 102.
Yeah, Lord knows where Ryan is today, but I'm imagining people are going to start hitting us up for his digits. His social media.
Yep.
So what does your business look like today? I know it's grown by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, so today we got a pretty sizable team in Detroit and Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm still on the ground selling real estate every single day. I think that probably surprises a lot of people. I'm still personally closing 100 transactions. Now, of course, I have some people behind the scenes. I have showing agents that handle the showings, and I have transaction coordinator that helps me with negotiating. But I'm still taking anywhere from 7 to 10 listings a month. And that's pretty important to me because I always want to stay sharp and fresh and on the ground, grounded with our people. And so that's my role in the company. And of course, we do another 900 or so transactions as a team. There's about 50 of us, 50. Of the 50, we have about 30 what we call outside sales agents. And the outside sales agents work with both listings and buyers. They handle both. We have about 8 inside sales associates. Those are essentially licensed realtors that make phone calls all day and follow up on leads and prospect for listings. We've got a team of 4 showing agents. So they're out showing homes for our agents. We encourage our OSAs to use showing agents and to not show homes, so that way they can generate more buyer leads, convert more buyer leads, and go on more listing appointments. And then, of course, we have an administrative and marketing staff, combined total for about 10 there. So it works out to about 50 of us and 30 agents writing contracts. And that group collectively, including my 100, we do between 950 and 1,050 transactions a year the last couple of years.
Good Lord. That's incredible. So forgive me, this question just popped in my mind. I'm curious to see how you would answer it. I feel like there are a lot of single agents, like the team model has been the rage in the industry for quite a while now. But I feel like a lot of folks jumped on that bandwagon without having their systems and processes in place, the core values, the culture, the why of why they want to build a team. And a lot of the real estate teams, at least here in Alabama, are not profitable. It's more about an ego than economics. So I'm a single agent. I'm looking at all these. I'm a successful single agent. But I know that I've got a lot of leads falling through the cracks, but I'm looking at these teams going, this is an ego thing for you guys. I'm making a hell of a lot more money than you are. So how would you answer a single agent that came to you and said, Jeff, you got this amazing team, but couldn't you make a lot more money on your own?
My response is to that, you do it for the right reasons, and you don't do it for the wrong reasons. And what I mean by that is the reason why Jeff Glover and Associates was started and the reason why Jeff Glover and Associates exists today is because I'm more passionate about developing salespeople and business people than I am actually selling real estate. I just sell real estate because I have to remain credible. I have to remain relevant. And so I would like to think that an agent that works with our organization can actually net more money working with us than on their own. And I think there's definitely some truth to that. There's a lot of profitable solo agents out there, and kudos to them if they can remain small and not have to work 80 hours a week, because you have to look at that angle of it. When you're a solo agent, you're 40-hour-a-week salesperson, and you're probably a 20-hour-a-week or 30-hour-a-week business person. So you're really, in a lot of cases, putting in 50, 60, 70 hours when we have a lot of people that want to be a part of a team because they don't want to work 70, 80 hours a week. They want to make a good living, make six figures or more, and work 40 hours a week. So I think the biggest mistake that a lot of people make is they do it for the wrong reasons, right? They do it because it just seems like the next level. Or this whole fallacy of, but if I'm an agent on a team, or even if I'm a solo agent that doesn't have people working for me, then I don't own a business. I think that's a load of crap. I think that nobody in real estate owns a business. Your business is your database, right? Your business is your database, So this whole idea of, if I'm on a team, then I'm helping someone else's business. No, you're helping your own business. Same thing when you're a solo agent. You don't own a business, you own a database. And so this whole idea of, it really depends. You got to do it for the right reasons. If it makes sense because you're that passionate about developing others, then I think it makes sense for someone to start a team to help others. If you're doing it because you think you're going to be more profitable, or you think you're going to be working less because other people are working for you, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons, because neither of those are usually the case.
Right. And I would imagine that your quality of life and your profitability are both probably leaps and bounds beyond where you could have achieved on your own. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that I'd rather have a smaller piece of a bigger pie. And I think that's why you've seen the teams become so popular today, because people are okay with a little bit smaller of a slice, knowing that the pie has the potential to get really big and have a really big impact and a really big outcome.
Well, it sounds like to me, and this has been true in my case. So when I left KW, I started a brokerage. There were 4 people total in the office, and we were a little fish in a big pond. And so I had to really get purposeful about transferring skills to my agents. Before, I was just like, here's some leads, good luck. That really gave me a greater sense of purpose. And so I imagine that is one of the reasons, or maybe the primary reason, why you have moved into your latest venture with Glover U.
Yeah, I think that, again, it goes back to quite honestly, yes and no. Remember, there's 2 types of things going on. There's lead follow-up and there's lead conversion, right? Lead follow-up is the actions that we take. Lead conversion is what we say or what we email or what we text, right? So those are 2 different things. But I just wanted to, obviously share my opinion on that. But no, Glover U is essentially just an extension of the whole thought process behind Jeff Glover and Associates. If I'm more passionate about helping people build successful careers, I'm limited if I'm going to stay in Michigan, because call it what you will. I'm not a big fan of the expansion models across the country. I don't think there's a lot of profitability in them. So I'd love to make an impact on the entire United States. But the reality is that I can do that much quicker and make a larger impact through Glover U than I can through building a big team. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love the fact that you made the point that you don't feel like expansion teams are all that profitable, because that is a reality that I share. I just feel like, I've tried it myself, and it's really more, it goes back to that ego versus economics thing to me. And that's kind of what we're looking for in impact agent conference speakers. It's somebody who's just going to kind of cut the crap and put it straight,
Well, if anyone's ever watched any of my videos, I'm probably a little too straightforward, almost somewhat controversial with my beliefs and things, because I don't believe in a lot of that crap. I mean, if this whole idea of, I was just in New Jersey speaking yesterday, and they asked me what I thought about nurtures. And I said, well, I think nurtures are BS. I said, I love that the fact that all of our competitors in our market are massaging and fertilizing and watering all these little nurtures while I'm going out and finding now business, right? So there's definitely no load of crap there, that's for sure.
Well, as a real estate coach now, what are you seeing that are the biggest issues that your clients are struggling with, or even the agents? Because I know you do a lot of seminars all across the country all the time. So what's going on out there in the industry in terms of what agents are struggling with?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing is starting over every single day. That is the overwhelming thing. Whether we have teams that we work with that are doing $50 to $100 million in volume, and we have brand new agents that we're working with. And no matter what level, the number one challenge that I see our coaches having with agents, and a lot of the phone calls that I get on, because I got to talk these people off the ledge, is starting over every single day, being willing to do the dirty work day in, day out, being willing to set the example day in, day out, whether you feel like it or not. That's the number one challenge. And of course, the solution to that is, why are you doing it? If you don't understand why you're doing it, you're not going to go through the boring and the mundane and the repetitious boredom of the job day in and day out. So that's the number one thing that I'm seeing with all clients, no matter what level they're at.
Yeah, so I mean, easy street in real estate is really a myth, I think. I mean, you actually do start at zero every single day. You've never really arrived, have you?
Yeah, well, it's especially a myth when the market softens up a bit, right? It's amazing to me the last 3 to 5 years, all these social media superstars who have been born with successful real estate businesses, all of a sudden, those are where we're seeing it the most, because they haven't experienced a little bit of a softer market. And obviously, one of our topics at the upcoming Impact Conference is going to be on, all right, we know there's a little bit of a shift happening. What do I have to do differently compared to what I've done the last 3 to 5 years? So I think that, even when I speak to a lot of audiences, I ask the question, who's been around 5 years or more, 10 years or more? And what I find is that the majority of our audiences have been around either from brand new to 5 years. I mean, that's like, Jason, that's probably 75% of our audience in most conferences, and probably the one we have coming up, are 5 years or less in the business. And so that group of people are going to be affected the most as the market continues to soften. Now, we don't know how much it's going to soften. Some markets it won't, some markets it will. But a lot of our discussion will be around, okay, what do you need to do differently that you weren't doing given the condition of the market today?
Yeah, and I love this quote from Chris Heller has always stuck with me since I heard it.
I met Chris Heller back in 2005. I've always looked up to that guy.
I hope I don't butcher this quote, but it's basically the gist of it is, if you're doing the right things, if you're sticking to the fundamentals, there's no such thing as a good market or a bad market. There's just a market.
Correct.
And I think, like I said before when we started, I mean, you have really lived and breathed that, coming up through the ranks, through one of the most difficult economies in one of the most distressed cities in the country. So literally, you got the best education that any agent could have gotten.
Yeah, so, I learned a lot of lessons, that's for sure.
I'll bet. But I guess one of those things that it has instilled in you is that no matter what happens to the economy, no matter how soft or how hard the shift, you're going to be okay. because you
Oh
got
yeah.
the tools and the mindset.
I love the idea of a softer market, right? It goes back to the NAR stat back in 2009 or 10. It came out, right? And basically what it showed is the National Association of Realtor membership dropped by like 45%. But the amount of sales in the country dropped by maybe 17, 18, maybe 20% at the worst. So what that meant is for those that were willing to work hard, follow a system, stick to a schedule, and have great skills, that meant more to go around. And so that was me. And of course, that's obviously today what we're teaching agents to do to get ready for it.
All right, so let's dive into what agents can expect from you in terms of value you're going to bring to the Impact Agent Conference stage.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to touch on two things. Number one, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the market and what you need to adjust to not just survive the market, but to thrive in the market. And more importantly, I'm going to take you through a series that I'm doing right now, which is called 7 Steps to 100 Listings this year. And so I'm going to go through it fairly quickly, so the audience will have to take notes pretty quickly. But regardless of what's going on in the market, these 7 steps to 100 listings is the exact plan that I followed from day one in the business. And it's the exact plan that we're helping agents that are working with us on a daily basis.
Ooh, that's exciting stuff. All right, Jeff Glover, I know you're busy, so thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to drop some knowledge on us and build some anticipation for your appearance in New Orleans in April.
Yeah, we'll see you in just a couple months.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Have a great day.
See you guys.